Okay, now it's 2:30. Organizer, so I'm going to start, yeah? Yeah. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon to all. And this is lovely to see all the lovely faces today. And today's sessions, we are going to talk something which is very, very interesting. All right, we have here Dato Indrani Thuraisingham, all right? Dato Indrani is very much a well-known person. And she's going to talk about something on the topic of consumerism. Also, I'm having Datin Jaya Shabuddin, a very well-known trainer, coach, and specialist when it comes to the sustainability, competency on halal tourism, Muslim family tourism, element which is related towards what we call it the tour guide and so on and so on, and very well versed when it comes to building up talent and competency. And of course, we have another speaker, which is also one of the very best speaker, which is Shafika Huda Paiman. Dr. Shafika herself, she is a scientist, and she has a very strong foundation in terms of what it takes to bring out the value of halal, and then the value of ethics with the research and development that they have done when it comes to the use of materials. Because we're talking about halal toiban, we need to ensure the consumer are all protected, the employees are protected. So there has to be better than just the halal process. It has to be also related to the usage of other utensils that can enhance the ethical values of halal. So we have very strong speakers here today. And it is good that, we're all going to come in and share our views. So after this session, there's going to be the panel discussion. All right. And so stay tuned. So, but before we get into the panel discussion, I'm going to call upon again, Dato Indrani Thuraisingham, which I believe one of the best known person who would be the best people to talk about what it takes here for people to understand what the rights of employees, the right of consumers, and of course, when we're talking about sustainability, the right for us to protect the environment. So how does all this blending comes in with the fact that the consumer is the one who's supposed to be the custodian of the earth? So over to you, Dato Indrani.
Thank you, Doctor, for the opportunity to speak. So let me, since I come from the consumer movement, let me start by saying consumers, by definition, includes all of us, whether we come from the public or whether we come from the private sector or whether we are policymakers. By definition, all of us are consumers. But most often, our views are not heard, and although we are the largest economic group. But over the years, since 1960s, we have actually highlighted 8 consumer rights. This was done by Consumers International, which is a global consumer movement. And this has been encapsulated in the UN guidelines for consumer protection, where all UN member states, which is the 193 countries, have to ensure that these 8 rights are enshrined in whatever guidelines or laws in their respective countries. So what are the 8 rights that we have as consumers? Firstly, we have the right to basic needs. When we talk about the right to basic needs, this is about the right to goods and services that guarantees our survival. Of course, this includes adequate food, when we talk about clothing, shelter, healthcare, education, as well as sanitation. And I think over the years, we also talk about now digital devices. For example, mobile phones now seem to be more of a basic need rather than a want. The second right that I would like to talk about is about the right to safety. The right to safety basically is about the right of the consumer to be protected against products, production processes, and this is also where workers come in, which are hazardous to health, or also which is hazardous to life. So when we talk about patient safety, worker safety, food safety, road safety, household product safety, and even personal safety. So this is about the right to safety. So this includes workers' rights and consumer rights. The next right that I would like to talk about is about the right to be informed. And this means, again, for both consumers and also for the employers, the rights to be given facts that is needed for us to make an informed choice or decision. This is where we must be provided with adequate information, enabling us to act wisely and responsibly. Again, this includes where we are protected from misleading or inaccurate materials, advertising, labeling, packaging, and all the other relevant means of information that is given to us. The next right is about the right to be heard. Here it means the right to advocate consumers' rights and even the rights of the workers in terms of receiving full and sympathetic consideration in the development and implementation of economic and other environmental policies. So this means our right to participate. This is what basically means, and here it includes also the right, for the workers to be part of a union, the workers to be part of anything that affects their rights as workers. And of course, for consumers, when any policy that is coming out from the government, the consumers then have a right to ensure that their voices are heard. We also then have the right to redress. And this means the right to fair settlement. And this again talks about the right to receive compensation for any misrepresentation of any shoddy goods or even unsatisfactory services. And this also includes for the workers themselves, that if they are injured or they are unfairly treated, they also have the right to redress. And also then the availability of different forms of legal aid or redress for any claims that both the workers or the consumers would like to make when necessary. The right to education, and here it means, of course, the right to consumer education, the right to workers' education, for us to be able to acquire knowledge, for us to be able to be skilled so that we become an informed consumer or an informed employee throughout of our lives. And then, of course, finally, we have the right to healthy environment, the right to have a physical environment that will enhance our quality of life, that we do not have, in that instance of when we have waste, which is, polluting our environment, or where we have the environment which is full of pollution as a result of chemicals, which basically affects our health. And also then when we talk about water and energy, again, how these utilities affect us, if when we talk about the issues of how electricity is generated, how water is conserved, and so on. So I'll stop there for now. I think I've highlighted about the rights of consumers and the rights of workers. And maybe we will go on to the next person, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Dato Indrani, for such an interesting introduction about the topic of not just talking about the rights of the consumer, but the fact that you have touched many issues with respect to the environment, the waste, the chemical. These are actually materials that are being used in the production of most of the businesses. But yet, again, the responsibility for us to protect the environment, not only the clients, is actually in the hands of the people who are involved in the business itself, right? So while we are having all the compliances of the halal, processes, but again, even though we want to know about the source of the halal materials and so on, but the intention to throw away all the waste and all the activities, it's questionable. Why is it that all of a sudden, you want everything to be protected in terms of where the source is, but when it comes to the attitude of what happened after the product is being used, why is it put to waste, or why it put to irresponsible consumption, right? So I think that power of consumerism has stretched not only just from the production itself, but also from the post-production to the post-consumer to the activities of what we believe. So I guess this is going to be a very interesting subject during the panel discussion. I'm giving you the hint about what I would believe I would like to touch about during the panel discussion regarding the attitude and the behavior of consumers themselves, right? And even though they have the rights, but what is the responsibility that is also taking shape? Now, we have the next speaker, which is